Okay. This morning we're gonna take a look at four games tonight, and yeah, an interesting evening in hockey because you've got matchups between some teams that want to get things going, and you've got matchups where both teams want to get things going. And let's just jump in with Chicago at home against St. Louis. Chicago has a record over their history that's pretty solid against St. Louis. And this year they've got a pretty solid record against St. Louis as well. In fact, you can trace St. Louis's bad start in part to some blown leads against Chicago and some games against Chicago that weren't great. And then, of course, there was the one that St. Louis won pretty handedly over Chicago. So I would expect a bit of a feud tonight between the 6-6-3 St. Louis Blues and the 6-8-4 Chicago Blackhawks. And let's get into some numbers. Scoring wise, Ryan O'Reilly leads the way with 8 goals, 13 assists for St. Louis. Tarasenko's next, 6 goals, 8 assists. Perron, 5 goals, 6 assists. Steen, 5 goals, 5 assists. Bozak, 3 goals, 7 assists. Shen, 3 goals, 6 assists. Pietrangelo and Dunn both have 3 goals and 4 assists to round out the top 8. On the Chicago side of things, Patrick Kane, 12 goals, 10 assists. DeBrincat, 9 goals, 7 assists. Taves, 9 goals, 5 assists. Anisimov, 2 goals, 7 assists. Seabrook, 2 goals, 7 assists. Yoki Haru, 9 assists for him. He almost had that first goal in the last game. It was tipped by Taves. Saad, 4 goals, 4 assists. And Schmaltz with 2 goals and 6 assists to round out the top 8. So you have a team in St. Louis that has a little bit more even scoring than does Chicago, but you have a scorer and a star in Patrick Kane, who's the biggest star of this game. And yet, Ryan O'Reilly comes in on a bit of a hot streak. He cooled off a little bit in the last game. Turns out the Minnesota Mild. Well, when your team is called the Blues, I don't know why you're making fun of other teams' names. I'm not sure, because the Blues, it's music. It's also how you feel when things suck. Goaltending. Allen, 4-3-3 record, 3.99 goals against, 879 save percentage. Johnson, 2-3 record, 2.08 goals against, 927 save percentage. I want to check something. So when you look at the goaltending on this side of things, Johnson's probably going to be the starter, I would think. On the Chicago side, you have Crawford, 3-6 record, 3.07 goals against, 901 save percentage. Cam Ward, 3-2-4, 3.81 goals against, 891 save percentage. I would think Crawford would be starting tonight. I did double check. I went back and double checked while I was paused there on who's starting in net. I got confirmation on 2 games and not on the other 2, and this one I didn't get confirmation. Some interesting team stats I'll throw at you. The average age of the St. Louis Blues is 28.0. The average age on Chicago's side is 28.7. 5-on-5, St. Louis has scored 35 goals. They've allowed 41. Chicago scored 43. They've allowed 50. Special teams, so power play goals. St. Louis has scored 16 on the power play. They've allowed 9 while penalty killing. Chicago scored 7 while on the power play. They've allowed 14 penalty killing. Shorthanded goals. St. Louis has 1 for them, 1 against them. Chicago has 1 for them, 3 against them. Team save percentage. I went into a lot of numbers. Team save percentage. St. Louis has an 893 save percentage as a team, and Chicago has an 889. Keep in mind, team save percentage also includes empty net goals. So they'll always be lower than what the goaltenders are producing. It's going to be an interesting game. I would think that with Chicago being at home, that should give them the advantage. That being said, there are other situations where I thought Chicago should have the advantage this year, and they've managed a loss. So they're trying to reverse this 8-game losing streak tonight against St. Louis, and the Blues. They need to start now. They really need to start now with that whole winning streak thing. They really need to. Next up, Capitals 8-6-3 in against the 10-5-1 Winnipeg Jets. The Capitals had a great game last night, and I want to see it night after night. I'd like to see some games strung together. And Washington fans are excited to have Wilson back. Fans around the rest of the NHL are not excited to see Wilson back. It's an interesting situation, and I'm trying to think back to players that I've seen that with before. And I know in Boston a lot of people don't like Marchand, but a lot of Boston fans don't like things Marchand does either. Wilson has this, I don't know, he's almost like bulletproof with a lot of Washington fans, and we'll see how long and how far that goes. with the 8-6-3 record, leading them in scoring is Kuznetsov, 6 goals, 15 assists. Backstrom, 4 goals, 16 assists for him. Ovechkin, 12 goals and 8 assists. Carlson, 5 goals, 13 assists. Oshie with 9 goals and 5 assists. Eller with 3 goals, 7 assists. Connolly, 2 goals, 8 assists. And Matt Niskanen with 3 goals and 6 assists as well. On the Winnipeg side of things, Blake Wheeler, 3 goals, 20 assists. He's off to an amazing first quarter of the season. Scheifele, 9 goals, 10 assists. Connor, 7 goals, 6 assists. Bufflin with 2 goals and 11 assists. Line 8 goals and 2 assists. And they really need him to consistently be as good as he was in Finland. Ehlers, 4 goals, 4 assists. Trouba, 1 goal and 7 assists. And Morrissey has the same to round out the top 8. Goaltending. Copley's backing up tonight. He has a 3-1-1 record after last night's win. 2.91 goals against, 904 save percentage. Braden Holtby, 5-5-2 record, 3.24 goals against, 900 save percentage for him as the starter tonight. On the Winnipeg side, Laurent Brossoit. I've talked about goaltenders maybe needing to go to the American League for a bit of a conditioning stint. Just because you do that sometimes with a backup that's not playing. Brossoit, 3-0-0, 1.67 goals against, 957 save percentage. He hasn't played in a while, though. Hellebuck, 7-5-1 record, is playing again tonight. 2.86 goals against, 912 save percentage. And Hellebuck's starting to look like a guy who might get up and around 70 games this year. When you look at team stats, the Washington Capitals, on average, the age of the team, 28.4. The Jets are one of the youngest in the league at 26.3. Goals for and against at 5-on-5. Washington's 41-38. Jets 34-31. Power play goals for and against. The Capitals 17 power play goals for, 18 against. So they're actually -1 on their special teams there. Winnipeg 16 goals for and 11 goals against. Shorthanded goals for and against. The Capitals have 1 against, none for. The Winnipeg Jets have 1 for and none against. Team save percentage. The Capitals come in at .897. The Jets have one of the better ones in the league at .922. So it's a pretty solid overall showing for Winnipeg. And every stat would seem to indicate they should be able to beat Washington, but it depends which Washington Capitals show up tonight. They are, they're as inconsistent as almost anybody in the Metro is right now. And because it's a back-to-back game, we'll see what Winnipeg's able to do. This to me looks like a game that Winnipeg should be able to win. But, again, Washington's overdue for a bit of a winning streak here. And maybe that game against Minnesota will give them all back their confidence. Having Wilson in the lineup, refreshed and ready to fight everybody. Maybe that helps too. Next up, Boston Bruins, 10-5-2. They're going in against the Colorado Avalanche, who are 8-6-3. And the Avs are excellent at home. That's kind of a given. And the Bruins... They're not bad on the road. They had the rough start to it. They've been better since that rough start to their road record this year, but we'll see what happens in Colorado. I'm anticipating that the Avalanche come out and win this one. I honestly am. The Boston Bruins at 10-5-2 are led by Patrice Bergeron. 9 goals and 16 assists, 25 points in 17 games for Bergeron. This is a dream season for him. Pasternak, 16 goals and 7 assists. Marchand, 6 goals, 14 assists. Krejci, 2 goals, 13 assists. Grzelcyk, 1 goal, 7 assists. DeBrusk, 5 goals and 2 assists. McAvoy, a goal and 5 assists. And Torrey Krug has 6 assists to round out the top 8 in scoring. On the Colorado side of things, just as top-heavy as Boston. Although there's a sign on both teams that some depth scorers are starting to pick things up. Rantanen leads the way with 6 goals and 20 assists. McKinnon, 11 goals, 13 assists. Landeskog, 11 goals and 8 assists. Barry with a goal and 13 assists. Kerfoot, 3 goals, 9 assists. Soderberg, 6 goals, 5 assists for him. Wilson has 4 goals and 3 assists. And Gerard with a goal and 6 assists to round out the top 8 for Colorado. Goaltenders, Halak is starting. He has a 6-1-2 record, which makes it easier to keep starting him. 1.77 goals against, 945 save percentage. Tuukka Rask has a 4-4 record. 3.05 goals against, 901 save percentage. On the Colorado side of things, Grubauer is going to be backing up tonight. He has a 3-1-1 record. 3.56 goals against, 893 save percentage. And Varlamov with a 5-5-2 record will be the starter. 2.26 goals against, and a 929 save percentage. Average age on the team, the Bruins 28.7, so they're one of the older teams in the league, and the Avalanche are younger at a full 2 years below that at 26.7. Goals for and against, 5-on-5. Boston's out leading 34-27 there, whereas Colorado's at a 43-36 clip. Power play goals for and against. Boston's got 18. They've allowed 11. Colorado's got 15. They've allowed 12. Shorthanded goals for and against. Boston scored 1. They've allowed 3. On the Colorado side, they've scored 1 and allowed 1. Save percentage as a team, Boston's up near the top of the league with a 924, and Colorado's got a 912. So excellent save percentages for both teams, which leads me to think we may be in for a low-scoring game tonight. And certainly with Varlamov having a 929 save percentage, Halak having a 945, and they're going head-to-head, that even more indicates that we're going to have a low-scoring game tonight. It really depends on whose first line gets going, whether it's the McKinnon line or the Bergeron line. Whichever team gets their number one line going first likely ends up winning this game. Next up, and finally, last but not least, because there's only 4 games today, the Anaheim Ducks at 8-8-3 are in against the 7-10-1 Vegas Golden Knights, who are at home. And they're better at home than they are on the road, which is good, because they desperately need a win. Vegas is already in territory that if it was any other team, we'd be saying, well, they're done. Vegas, I think there's some who may feel that way, but I don't think we're there yet. But it's getting close. On the Anaheim side of things, Raquel leads the way in scorers, 3 goals, 10 assists for him. Getzlaf, 4 goals, 8 assists. Silverberg, 5 goals, 5 assists. Fowler with 3 goals and 7 assists. Lindholm has 2 goals and 8 assists. Henrique, 4 goals, 4 assists. Comtois, 2 goals, 5 assists. And Pontus Aberg with 5 goals and 1 assist is still tied for the lead on this team in goals scored. But Aberg has been pretty dangerous for them in games that I've watched, so I guess he's found the right mix for himself for right now. On the Vegas side of things, Marchessault, 8 goals, 7 assists. Carlson, who we expected more than 4 goals to this point of the season. We're 18 games in. 4 goals, 10 assists. And remember, he's a restricted free agent next summer, so his number's going down. Tuck, 4 goals, 5 assists. Eakin, 5 goals, 3 assists. Smith, 3 goals, 4 assists. Howla, 2 goals, 5 assists. Theodore, 2 goals, 5 assists. And Reeves with 4 goals and 1 assist is still on the board. 5 points in 18 games should not get you into the top 8 on a team scoring. Vegas has definitely been snake bit. And I know Vegas fans have said, well, we're getting the shots and we're getting close. But, that sniper, they just haven't had it. And the fact that Pacioretty isn't top 8, I know there are people saying, well, he's been injured. And at some point, the excuses turn into, okay, this doesn't work. And as much as I've been following Carlson with the Sharks, I've been following Pacioretty with the Vegas Golden Knights, because it's a very interesting story. In both cases, it was supposed to be this glorious addition, and it just hasn't quite worked out that way. Goaltenders, no confirmation on who's starting in this game. Miller, 2-2 with a 2.33 goals against, 936 save percentage. Gibson, 6-6-3 with a 2.47 goals against, 931 save percentage on the Ducks side of things. On the Vegas side of things, Fleury, 7-7-1 with a 2.69 goals against, 894 save percentage. I think he's going to end up playing a ton this year because Malcolm Subban is not playing particularly well when he's in. He's 0-3 with a 3.17 goals against, 885 save percentage. So Fleury may end up seeing the net a lot. And coming from somebody who's watched Fleury for years, I don't know how well he can hold up over if he plays more than 60 games. Average age, the Ducks are 26.9. Vegas is 28.7. Vegas is one of the older teams in the league, which is surprising and baffling and weird, considering they're a newish team to the league. This is only their second year. Even strength, goals for and against. Anaheim's allowed 2 more than they've scored, 34 goals to 36. And Vegas has scored 31. They've allowed 45. That's a major difference. Goals for and against on the power play. Anaheim scored 8. They've allowed 12. Vegas is actually a positive here now. They've got 10 power play goals and they've allowed 8 while killing penalties. So they're actually a positive when it comes to that. And they're also a positive here. Shorthanded goals, Anaheim scored 0. They've allowed 4. Vegas has scored 2 and they've allowed 0. But when you look at team save percentage, this is where the difference gets really stark. Number 1 in the league is Anaheim at a 926, and right near the bottom of the NHL is Vegas at an 887. So that right there shows you that these two teams are going completely different routes this year. And for Vegas, their record isn't really that dissimilar from Anaheim. If again, and I hate to do this, but if you look at the win-loss column in this manner, 8 wins and 11 losses overall for Anaheim, 7 wins and 11 losses overall for Vegas, then they're right next to one another. But when you look at the goaltending, when you look at the overall numbers, Anaheim looks like the one that's most likely to bounce back. But I'd be interested to know your thoughts in regards to this. Which teams do you think are going to win? This kind of thing. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happen upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.